Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Deepa from DeeZinesByD, and today I am sharing some Spellbinders fun with the Cheers to You collection. This is a Better Press collection. So this one has the registration mark. So what you're going to get is like a little panel of acetate in there that's going to kind of be like a template, and then you can kind of line up your images and print them out in different colors. So these are all of the products that I have here. This is the Sprigs product set. This one here is the Arches. We've got the Buffalo Plaid, the Peony Perfection, and then finally the Cheers to You sentiments. Now I used basically everything here except for those arches, but definitely like these sets are really cool, especially the Sprigs one. Like look at how many sprigs you get. There's that acetate template that I was talking about. So what you really do with the template is you take your Better Press. You can see mine's used a lot. You line it up with the A2 portion of the chase there, and then you just stick the plates on the template, and you'll notice that the sprigs have different colors. The outlines are different colors, so you can do the purple color in one set of colors, and then you put the plates on for the blue and then for the red, and then you can add different colors in this manner. So you can use the color combo that's on the on the acetate template, or you can choose your own colors, and you can choose which sprigs you want to make which color. You don't have to follow the template. So that's what I think is pretty fun about it. Now for my first card, I'm actually going to be using Peony Perfection, and I'm just going to take that piece of acetate and line it up on my chase. Now I just put it on there. I find that there's enough like static in between the acetate and that magnetic plate there that I don't really need to stick it down. But if you want to make sure it doesn't move around, just tape it down to the magnetic plate on the chase with some washi tape or some of that yellow tape that you get with the Better Press. So this is the cotton cardstock that you normally would use with the Better Press. You can use this if you'd like, but you can use any other cardstock you have. I know some people may be a bit cautious about using another type of cardstock. Just go ahead and try it. Experiment, and that's the only way you're going to find out what works. Now I'm just cutting apart some hammer mill paper. So this is the paper or cardstock that is recommended to be used for glimmering or foiling. I use that for everything because I've actually been using this cardstock for eons, way before we even started doing hot foiling. And that's only because I'm in Canada and this was the cardstock that was available to me. So I have a whole bunch of this, and I guess it's smooth enough that it works for glimmering. It also works for the Better Press letterpress technique. Now you're not going to get as much of an indentation into the cardstock, but it works just as well. So I've gone ahead and put on the peony, the flower portions, and I'm just using some Altenew ink. So and again, go ahead and experiment. You don't have to stick to the Better Press inks. Use oxide inks, use pigment inks, use dye inks like what I'm using here. They all pretty much work. I don't find that they beat up on the plates too much. The plates are really nice. You'll notice that when you run your finger across them, they have like a soft texture to it. So any type of ink seems to stick to it pretty well. And you can see this turned out really well, minus that bit of extra ink that I kind of got on the top there. That's another point that I'd like to add. So when you're kind of inking up your plates, do try and wipe away any excess ink that you might have gotten onto the magnetic chase or onto the acetate template there, because it will be picked up by your cardstock. I find that the regular cardstock, like what I'm using here, doesn't pick up as much of the ink as, say, the cotton cardstock, because the cotton cardstock has it's very fibrous, so it's gonna pick up that ink very easily. So you'll see that I did the flowers. I actually did them in, I think Starlight ink and Sapphire. And then for the leaves, I did that in Desert Night. So these are all Altenew inks. And I'm trying to kind of clean up that excess ink that I kind of got on the panel there. I'm just using my Tombow Mono Sand Eraser. Now keep in mind this is going to work a little better with this cardstock and not create too much of a mess, because it is just the regular cardstock versus the cotton. Now I'm looking at the sentiments here and then realizing that I'm actually making this card for an Instagram hop. So I'm going to try and use one of the banners that we have there with the Cheers to You sentiments. I think I'm going to go with the From All of Us because this card is going to end up being a sympathy card. So there is a hop that goes on. I've posted on Instagram today. I'm going to put a link down to my Instagram account down below. You can find it there. If you click on it, you'll see that there's a bunch of designers on Instagram who just kind of work together. And there's two of us, myself and Amrita, and we kind of just put together the hop. We kind of organize it. Everyone kind of helps out. We help each other. You know, you make good friends. You get to interact more with the crafty community and make new friends, have more people to learn from. And if maybe you're not part of design teams and you'd like to be, this is perfect practice for being part of an Instagram hop. So if you want to join, you can go ahead and click on my Instagram link below and just send me a message and say, hey, I'd like to join the Discovering Your Supplies Rediscovery Hop. The Rediscovery Hop. I'd like to join the Rediscovery Hop. I'll add you to the group and you could be involved in the hop that we have each month. Now the one for this month is ongoing right now, but if you are interested, you could be able to participate as early as next month. So that's my little side bit. Now moving on with my next card here. So we did just kind of print out the outline of the peony. I'm putting that aside. We're going to finish that up a little later. So I want to do all of my pressing first, and then I'll kind of put the cards together and work on them a little more. So for this card, I am using that cotton cardstock, which comes with the Better Press kit. You can actually buy extra panels of this from the Spellbinders store if you run out. I know that when you buy the Better Press system, you do kind of get like a starter pack, which gives you some of the gray and the off-white colored cotton cardstock as well. So you can see I've lined up the first 3 sprigs here. And I've kind of picked a color scheme. So I've got like 4 colors of alternate ink. I think I've got a pink, a purple, a blue, and like a peachy orange color. And that's what my color palette's going to be. You can change up your color palette. And I'm following the template. Again, as I said, you could just use 2 of those sprigs and make the third one a different color. You could make all of the sprigs completely different colors. Now, you don't have to use the template, and you can kind of put the sprigs wherever you want them and maybe do like an ombre kind of look and mix from one color to the next. Or maybe you just want to ink up these sprigs and cut them out and use it for a different project. So right now I'm going to go ahead and just work with the template and the registration marks to kind of put together this panel as is with the inks that I've chosen. But on my next project, I'm going to do what I said and kind of just use the sprigs separately and cut them out. So keep watching to see how that turns out. So here you can see I'm using Sunkissed on these 2 sprigs, and you'll notice I keep my towel beside me, and I'm not using a dry towel. I did spray it with a bit of stamp cleaner so that it's a little damp, and I just kind of wipe off any excess ink that may be on that template before I run it through my die cutting machine to give it that pressure. Now, the reason why I don't show you how I run it through my die cutting machine on camera is simply because I have the Spellbinders Platinum and it is the 8.5 inch. I like to get larger die cutting machines because I sometimes like making larger cards. I am in Canada, and Canada is a British colony, and you'll notice that in England or in the European countries, they tend to make bigger cards. It's just the way it goes and what I'm used to. But I know in the States, the standard is the A2 size card. So I do make a lot of those too, which is all of the cards that I'm making today. So that's just my little spiel about why I don't show you how I run this through my die cutting machine on camera. So you can see after each color, I'm trying to clean up that template. I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible so that I'm not going to get any excess stray ink on my panel. I'm lining up my 3rd color now. So I think I used Puffy Heart was the pink color. The purple color, Deep Iris, I think that's what that one was. And then for the blue, I'm going to use Starlight. It's just like a nice deep blue that's not too vibrant, but vibrant enough to go with this color scheme. And you'll notice I kind of dab and then kind of twist a little. You can't see it as much because the video is sped up, but I'll dab and twist, dab, twist, dab, twist, as to get the ink on there. And you'll notice I haven't fully covered everything with ink. That's another look that you could go for. Like you could make one half of your image a lot more deeper in color and the other half a bit more faded. And that just means you add less ink to it. And that's the final product there. So you can see how gorgeous that looks. I did get a bit of extra ink on there, but don't worry about that. I'll cover that up later. So this is what I was talking about. I'm just using the sprigs separately this time. I've already set it up. I've removed my template and I've only got about 6 of the sprigs here. And this time I'm going to use I think I used the I can't remember, the puffy heart, the pink there, and I'm just adding it to the top and the edges of the sprigs, okay? And then I'm going to come in, I think I used Desert Night, and then I'm going to come in at the bottom and I'm going to create kind of a mix of colors. Now, you'll notice I'm using the smaller ink cubes. This works way better than using larger ink pads, especially when you're trying to kind of target smaller areas on these sprigs. And I'm just dabbing it more concentrated in the center of the stem or of the image and at the bottom. And I'm just kind of adding the ink so that it meets with. So now you'll notice I'm kind of I'm going to take the puffy heart and I'm going to go back over. So I just want to mix a little bit in between the pink and the blue. And you'll notice I am muddying up my ink pad. So keep in mind, I'm only using just a small corner of the ink pad, just lightly dabbing it to kind of blend the blue and the pink to get a nice gradient. And then don't worry about your ink pad. As long as you have an ink pad that has a re-inker, you can always just wipe off the edge. You'll notice you can see it's coming off there. Just wipe it off on a towel and then you re-ink it up and you're good to go. Don't worry about, muddying up your ink pad there. And only do it with the small ink pads, because if worse comes to worse and you really mess that ink pad up, you can always get another one versus a whole full ink pad, right? So now that you can see that the blend on the Better Press plates looks really nice as it is. So now I just kind of have to press it and put it through my die cutting machine. And oh my God, look at how that turned out. It's so gorgeous. And keep in mind, these inks, they tend to lighten up a little bit as they dry. So I will eventually cut out all of those sprigs, but before I do that, I just want to finish up with my Better Press system here. I'm using the Buffalo Plaid plate this time, and I'm just doing some simple Better Press letter pressing here. I'm just using the Better Press black ink, and you can see I have the smaller pad here. Spellbinders, I think, just released the larger pad, and I'm pretty sure this would have been much easier to do with that larger pad. Now, it's nice that, when you do get this small black ink pad, they also give you the re-inker. So I think my ink pad is kind of drying out, which is why it took a little while. If it was more inked up, it probably would have been a bit faster. So there's that as well. Either you get the big ink pad or you make sure your ink pad, if it's small, it's juicy. So I put that through and you can see how gorgeous the result is. I'll put that panel aside and I'll go ahead and I'll grab the dies from the sprig set and then start to kind of cut out all of these sprigs. Now there are 6 of them, and I think that the 4 that I have at the bottom are a little bit too close, so I'm going to have to cut out 4 and then the other 2 separately. So now I've got all of those cut out. I'm going to move on to my sentiments. Now, I thought that I was done with the Buffalo Plaid, but I forgot I have to kind of press out these sentiments. Now, I'm doing 2 versions of this. I actually don't end up using one of the versions, which is the one that I'm going to do on black cardstock. But that's an idea if you want to kind of have black cardstock as your banners instead of white. So I've just inked up this plate for the Cheers to You Sentiments Better Press plates, and I'm just going to put it through my die cutting machine on white cardstock. It presses those letters into the paper perfectly. And then I'm going to grab some black cardstock and I'm going to use this along with the same plate. I'll just wipe off the plate to make sure that the black Better Press ink is off of it. And then I'm going to use some Altenew pigment ink. So this is the antique gold ink, and I'm just going to ink up the plate and put it through on the black cardstock to create kind of like gold on black effect. So as I'm kind of going through all of the plates that I have and getting my banners or my sentiments done, I like to kind of have two versions, which is why I did this in the white and the black. I didn't end up using the black, but I like kind of having something to alternate between so that I know I've got like the best kind of what is it called? Like the best composition possible for my card. Because sometimes you want that black on there to kind of bring out another black in your card, or you want it to kind of pop out and be a little bit more dramatic, or sometimes you want the white to kind of fade into the background a little more. So I like to have those options. So now that I've cut all of these, I can kind of keep them aside and use them for other projects as well. Okay, so you'll notice a little bit before I kind of rambled on a bit about those banners, but I've kind of just got a box here. This is the box that I kind of just use for all my splattering. I've gone back to that Peony Perfection that we pressed out before, and I'm just grabbing the same ink. So I've got the Desert Night, the Sapphire, and the Starlight, and I've just added some water using my Spellbinders water brush, and I'm just sprinkling on a whole bunch of drizzle, or what do you call it, splatter, a whole bunch of splatter in those same blue colors, just to create a nice artistic effect. Because this card, as I said, it's my sympathy card. It's going to be pretty simple. Now I was supposed to make it one layer, and unfortunately I couldn't do that because I have the banners, right? But it's as close to it as I could get. And you'll notice I also added that blue to the edge. So I think that was the Sapphire. I just kind of took the water brush with the blue, and I just kind of dragged it against the edges of the card and kind of went over the edge a little bit just to create a little bit more of an artistic look. And it also outlines your panel and draws your eye into the center of the card as well. Now, I felt that the card was just a little too white. I wanted more blue. So I'm taking the same water brush, and all I'm doing is just kind of squeezing out more of that water and then just coloring in the peony. And you'll notice that the water kind of reactivates the ink that was used to kind of press out the peony into the cardstock, and it just adds a bit of like a wash to the flower, so that I've got a little bit of blue going on there, and it kind of highlights the actual peony compared to the background of the card. Now, keep in mind, I didn't use watercolor cardstock or anything like that. Even the cotton cardstock would absorb more of the water. So you have to be a bit mindful of how much water you're kind of pressing out of that water brush. You can use a little bit, but don't make it too saturated with water. Otherwise, it's going to ruin your image and your cardstock. So I've put that aside to dry. Now I'm just kind of cutting off the edges of this panel. I'll also cut off a little bit along the edges of the buffalo plaid. This is just so that I get a little bit of a white border around my card. And I kind of always like to do that because I feel like it just gives it a cleaner look. So now I'll just go ahead and attach this panel to my card base. This is just a white A2 size card base, simple side folding. And now that I've added that here, as I mentioned, I don't know that if you can see that in this video, but there's a bit of smudging, like there's some extra ink that I kind of got onto the panel here. I wasn't as careful as I thought I was. So I'm just adding a black circle, just cut it with a circle die, and I'm just kind of covering up a bit of that mess. I tried to kind of erase some of it using the Tombow Mono Eraser, but it wasn't working so well with this panel because keep in mind this one was the cotton panel and it really absorbs that ink, so it's not going to let go of it. It's a little harder to remove. So I thought that the best bet was to kind of cover up a little bit of it. So I've added that black circle which kind of highlights my sentiments, and I'm adding two of the banners here. It's your day and cheers to you, and that is pretty much that card. So moving on to the card with the buffalo plaid, I will go ahead and attach this to my card base just like before. And for this one, I've got some black glitter cardstock. So this is actually from the Spellbinders glitter cardstock pack here. You can see you get a whole bunch of different colors, and the black really comes in handy. It's really beautiful. It's really shiny. The glitter does not come off. And there is a little bit of like a plastic backing to the back of it, which comes in perfect for it comes in handy for more intricate die cuts. You can kind of just pull off that plastic backing, and it's got like a bit of stickiness to it. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I kind of use it to my advantage. So I just cut out a circle here, so it's nothing too fancy. So I just added some foam adhesive and attached it to the center of my card on top of that buffalo plaid. And now I'm just taking those sprigs and I'm kind of feathering them around the circle on top of the glitter. And I have all of the little ends meeting right at the center so I can cover those ends up with the banner. So I kind of took like the two largest sprigs and I tried to keep this as even as possible. Most cards are asymmetrical. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. I tried my best to make it symmetrical. It didn't quite work out, but it still looks pretty in the end. If you're a stickler like I am, you're going to notice it. But the two largest sprigs are diagonally across from each other. Then I've got the two medium sprigs on one side. And then I have a smaller one and then like a leafy one that are going in the other corner there. So I'm using just some foam adhesive for the pieces that are sticking off of that black glitter circle. And then I'm just using some tape runner for the pieces that are sticking onto the, or the parts of the die cuts that are sticking on top of that the black glitter circle. Now all I'm doing is adding my sentiment. So I added a few foam squares to the back here. And now you can see I'm kind of alternating between the white and the black. And I thought the white just looked much better. And that's that card pretty much done. And then I have my Peony Perfection. Now I noticed the card is still a little wet. So I'm grabbing my heat tool and I'm just drying it up a little bit. And what I like to do is just get the areas that are wet nice and hot and make sure that they're as dry as I can get them. And then I'll flatten it with my hand as it's still hot. And that kind of helps stop it from warping a bit. So now I'll just attach this to my white card base. Again, this is A2 sized. And as I said, I tried my best to make this one layer, but with that the banner there, that didn't quite work out. So it's a semi one layer card, I guess you could say. Okay, I get it. It's not one layer. I tried. I really have a problem with making one layer cards. I love dimension. As you can tell, look at all those foam squares I have. And they're not even just, they're circle, they're square. I also have like different width or thicknesses as well, so that I have different layers and varying heights of foam. So yeah, I have a problem with having lots of dimension all the time. So that is a challenge for me. I also have another thing that's a weak spot for me, and that is embellishments. I love all the glitter and the shine. So I've got some Pinkfresh Studio glitter drops here, and these are the dual tone. These are the blue tone ones, and I'm just adding it to this card. Then I'll go ahead and add the ballet slipper, the light pink ones to this card with the buffalo plaid, because I thought it just goes well with the pink that we have on the edges of those sprigs. I'll also add a couple of these to the die cuts on the blue area so that they stick out a little more. And that'll be it for this card. And then for my final card, I've got some Altenew Smoky Quartz Gems Sparkles. So I don't know if you're aware, Altenew recently came out with some gems, and yeah, the black ones here just seem to go really nice with this. It just kind of highlights the black circle and complements the rest of the card. And that's pretty much it for my cards today. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have enjoyed it. I will have more videos from the collections from this month, next month, and so on and so forth. And once in a while, I will show some of the club kits. So go ahead and check out my links below. All the products used are linked in the description and within my blog. And as I mentioned, if you do want to join that group on Instagram where we do hops every month, go ahead and click my Instagram link, send me a message on there and say, hey, I'd like to be part of the Rediscovery Hop. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my video. And again, the Spellbinders products that I've used today are all available in the store within the links. Have a great day and a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.